Welcome back to Canibuild. This video is part 3 of your training. In this session, I will show you how to set up and use the quoting tool, as well as how to generate a complete proposal containing the site plan, flyer, and quote. Let's get started. To begin with, we need to update some of the information for the base price of the designs and for our item catalog. To do so, you'll need to select your name on the top right corner and jump into admin. Over on the left-hand side, move down the list until you find design catalog. And in terms of editing the base prices of these, what you'll need to do is either hover over your design, click the 3 dots and edit. And we need to allocate a base price here under pricing structure. Just while I'm here, another thing I will point out is your description. So this description is the one that appears on both the quote and the flyer. Just note, if you ever need to edit it, you can do so here. What I recommend is just editing one of them, especially if they're all the same, and then we can use the spreadsheet that I'm going to show you shortly to update the rest. So once we've got that sorted, hit the check at the top, and that will save and update that information. Now, there is a quicker and easy way to bulk edit all of these. Obviously, we've got a range of designs. If you only have one, it's fine to do it the way I did it. However, what we're going to do is select the 3 dots here, and we're going to export the design catalog as a spreadsheet. If for whatever reason this doesn't automatically open, it'll be in your downloads folder. You can just download it there. Just take note, as you download each one, the next number in sequence will save. If you have multiple saved in your downloads folder, I do recommend deleting them once you don't need them anymore, just so you don't pile up with a bunch of these and get confused. All right. In terms of editing your price, make sure you enable editing at the top. And you can double check information in any of these if you need to update. What I recommend though is never touch or edit this first column. This is the reference column. This is what all the rest of the information refers back to. So do not change the names of the designs here. If you need to change the name of the design, edit it in app. If we change it, it's going to add a secondary design when we upload it back in. So just be aware of that. Do not touch the first column. The second column across is your descriptions. So if you want these to be updated, again, just update the first one, and then all you need to do is drag it down the list and it will update the rest of them. In terms of your prices, whatever they're set at, you can easily change them here. And that's why I find this a lot quicker if you're doing a bulk amount. So let's go 23,000 here. We'll go 14,000 there and 27,500. And we'll just recopy that whole list and replicate it down. All right. So that's just my quick way to populate all those. Again, make sure you put in the correct prices. Over here, the other things that you can edit. So obviously the price is the most important one, but if you do need to make any other edits, you can quite easily edit the description. If you need to update your areas for whatever reason, you can do that, as well as your stories, bathrooms, and bedrooms. So update those accordingly if you need to. Otherwise, you don't need to change anything. You can leave it as it is. Over here under price, it is very important that you do not change the cell formatting. Just enter the numbers as they are. You can go to 2 decimal places if you want. So if I wanted to do 0.35, I can. Just make sure you leave it as just numbers. Don't change the cell to currency. All right. And we then hit the save button here. And I will close this one. And now we got to import it back in. So the process for that, we click the 3 dots, select import, select the latest version that you have just saved, and then you just need to wait a minute, click the OK button. These prices will all update as soon as this circle finishes turning. All right, so there we have it. All our prices have updated. You can see when I cycle through, every design now has a base price attached to it. The next step from here is your item catalog. Now, the item catalog is your complete list of items that you will be selling as add-ons, upgrades, or extras from that base price. We have a list here ready to go that you can start with. And what we need to do with these is allocate some pricing to it. And then I'll also show you what you need to do if you want to add any more items to this list. If you want to just edit a one-off price, all you need to do is click the three dots, same as we did with the design catalog, edit the item, jump here to price and type in a number. So let's just put 550 there and we'll hit the save button. That should update your pricing accordingly for each individual price. I prefer to do this an easier way, and that is to export the whole spreadsheet again. It's just quicker and easier, and you can check everything better. So what we'll do is click the three dots and we'll hit export. What this will do is give us a copy of the item catalog as a spreadsheet. Again, if it doesn't automatically open once it downloads, all right, you can see there's my pricing catalog 16. Just click on it to reopen it, or you can jump into your downloads folder and open that up. So we will need to hit enable editing, and you can see there are some columns pre-populated. So let's stick to keeping consistency and just go with these columns. And they are the bare minimal of what you need for the quote to work. So starting at the left here, these are the item groups. Now you can name anything you want to the item groups. So obviously we've got these 4 variations at the moment. You can continue to use these 4 when you add additional items, or you can come up with other ones that you need to. All these are various folders to store each individual item into. All right, so they're more or less just a grouping system. We then have our item short name. Now, what this is enough information for you and your sales team, or you and the team, to identify that item to be able to add it to the quote. So that is what needs to go in here. Make sure there are no duplicates in this column. All right, every item in here needs to be unique. If you have a duplicate, it will make it very difficult to be able to tell the difference of which item is which. All right. What we then have is our item full description. Now, this one here is for your client's benefit. This will appear directly under your item short description on your quote. But what this would be is telling your client the process, procedure, or exactly what they're getting for that particular item. This will also help with legal things. The client can't turn around and say, I was promised this and I got that. It's all written down black and white on their quote of what they're meant to get for that particular item. So I do recommend putting enough information in there to cover your bases. We then have our unit of measurement. Now, the unit of measurement can be just about anything you like, as long as it's something that's going to relate to the product. Now, you could pretty much put each for all of these and then just define what each is in the description. All right, each could be a box of 10 lights. Each could be a box of 12 tiles, for example. So as long as you define what each is in the description, they could all be each if you really wanted to. Basically, any form of distance, time, or measurement you can put in here. So, as I said, each is probably the preferred for 90% of them. Obviously, in this case, we have miles for the delivery. So that would be our distance. Depending on the distance, it's going to multiply by that distance. And then you can have things like square foot, linear foot, um, cubic foot, hours, days, whatever you need to put in there to match up with whatever item you have. All right. So if you're talking about cut and fill, obviously you've got your cubic foot. If you're running your sewer or water lines, then you're going to have your lineal foot. And if you're dealing with things like concrete or paving, you'll have your square foot. All right. So it just depends on what you're working with. We then need to allocate a price to each of these. So I'm just going to make up some prices here just so we can use this in the quote. So architectural drafting, let's say that's $700. Site prep, let's say that's 12,000. Delivery is going to be 450 per mile. Actually, no, that's probably a bit high. Let's go with $89 per mile. Construction, so install standard crane. That's just a flat rate. Let's say that's 9,000. Utilities, let's say that's 150. And then we've got water, sewer, and electrical. So this is per lineal foot. Let's set each of those at 100 or 10. Yep. And then we have the main panel upgrade. Let's say that's 400. All right. We then have our quote section, and the easiest way to populate this is to copy paste whatever you put over here in this first column. Basically, it's quick and easy, and more or less the variation is that's how it's going to group on the quote versus how it will group in your item catalog when you and your team are adding the items to the actual quote. All right. If we need to add any additional items, ignore the fact that there are numbers missing here. All right. They are previous items that were potentially deleted. All you need to do is add the next number in sequence. Either copy exactly whatever the item group is from here. So in this case, I'm going to copy construction, and then I'm also going to put construction over there. Then detail in whatever it is. So I'm going to say this is going to be for concrete. All right. My item full description will be build formwork and pour concrete. All right. Now this here, as I said, will be a square foot price. So we'll put square foot. And then we need to put a price in. Let's say it's $150. All right. That is all you need to do if you need to add another item. Okay. We can also go 17 and let's say, what do you got? Let's say design. All right. That's going to be my next grouping. And then we'll say drafting plans. Put in your detailed description of whatever process is involved in drafting plans, how many copies, whatever that might be. This then would be an each cost. Put in your price. Let's say $1,000. And then again, that's going to fall under design. All right. So it's just as simple as that. If you need to populate any additional items, my quickest recommendation is to just list them all down here and then work out what groups you want to put them in and then fill in the rest accordingly. Another important thing is just make sure you keep consistency here. If you're going to write each like this, it's fine. Just keep it consistent all the way down. I have previously seen people do this all under each other, and it just looks a bit out of place when you have these there running all underneath each other like so. All right, because then when you are actually adding the items to the quote, you won't have consistency running down. So same here, this is a little bit inconsistent. If you're going to put in a full word or put in the abbreviations, however you're going to do it, Just make sure it's consistent as well with capitals and lowercase, because these will all appear under each other on the quote. Hit the save button once you're done, and then we're going to import that back in. So clicking the three dots, import, select your pricing catalog, 2 new items and 10 amended items. All right, you can see all my prices have now been added and my 2 extra items are added in there. Jumping back to our property now, and we can generate a quote. So all you need to do, click on choose design. My build is already on the property. I'm then going to jump to quote, and you can see there's my base price. Remember I said 2 decimal places if you need to. All you then need to do is select add item. So what this will do is show you those group folders. So remember, these are your item groups. So there's my approvals, pre-construction, construction, and utilities. All you need to do is click on that particular grouping. And I think the reason those other ones haven't showed up is because I didn't reload the page. So I'll just quickly reload the page, because I should have 5 groups there based off my spreadsheet. There we go. So there's that design group that I just added in as well. All right, so just make sure you reload your page afterwards. Hit approvals. Let's add in the permitting and the architectural drafting. Hit the back button. We'll go to pre-construction. Let's add in our site prep and our delivery. Remember, that's per mile. So let's say that it's 22. And you can do this to decimal. So let's say 45, just for the fun of it. And you can hit add to quote. So that'll start to add those items. You can then just hit add item again. And let's say I need to search for a particular item. Let's type concrete. It will find that particular item. This is per square foot. So let's say it's 1,000 square feet. Large area, but it's in there, and you can add that into the quote. We then also have our measurements for our electrical. So we've got 181 feet, and then we have 84 feet. So we can add our item, go to utilities, and we have our water, sewer, and electric. So sewer was 181 and electrical 84. And let's just put water at 40. All right, add to quote, and everything is populated as I need it. All right, from here, you can create a preset template as well, which I'll show you in a moment in the back end. Basically, this here will let you add in your template. More or less what that's for. Let's say every quote or 90% of your quotes all have the same 5 items in them. Instead of having to click add item and find those 5 or 10 items, whatever it might be, you can create a template in the back end. And what that will do is allow you to automatically add those items accordingly to the quote. So you just need to click here, select standard. Just note, if I do it now, it's going to cancel all that, so I won't do it. And it'll automatically add those items. Let's just hit generate and quote. All right, make sure you've added your client details up here under contact. I'll show you how to set deposit up in the back end, and you can add a description. So let's just put in here job to start December 2024. All right, there is the payment schedule function, and then we hit proceed. So what this will do is now, exactly like your flyer and site plan, generate a quote report for you. Give that a moment, and up here we'll have our quote report, and same thing, it does appear in docs. So there it is there. You can download it direct from here. Let's just open this one up. And here is our quote. So you have the company information at the top, your client's details just underneath. We then have each individual bit of information popping up here. Basically, you've got your construction, so concrete build formwork. You've got your actual build, and there's your back end description. You've got price, quantity, unit of measurement, and amount for each item. So remember, that's why you need your consistency. And there's your short description and long descriptions for your quote. So see here, it is important that you have a bit of a description just so your client's aware of what they're getting. That then comes down to your subtotal, your grand total, and we have a 4-week valid until. There's my note. So remember, I put in job to start December 2024. These are the option to add additional descriptions in the back end. So you can put your terms and conditions. Anything else that you want to put in there can all basically be listed in the quote. Any pre-approval or any other additional information your client needs to be aware of, that can all go in there. We then have our payment schedule, which I'll also show you how to set up. All right, and that gives me my completed quote. So let's jump into the back end and edit a few settings, and then we'll generate a proposal as well. So clicking again on your name and going to admin, and this time we're going to go to the quote tab. So that's the third one down on the left. If you are not using the payment schedule function, this is where your deposit will come from. Now, I'm just going to default this and set it at 10%. So more or less, if you do want to turn off payment schedule, you can, and it'll just automatically put in 10% as the deposit. And let's just go of grand total. All right. In terms of your discount and additional charge, now I will jump back and show you how this works front end, but this is the ideal setup scenario. What this will allow you to do, if an item is $1,000, you will have the flexibility to increase it up to 2,000 or decrease it down to 0. That's why I recommend this is the best setup. If you want to restrict that ability for your lower end staff, like your sales team or not your admin staff, so anyone that shouldn't have that level of control, basically you could set this down to 20% if you want. All right. But my recommendation is to just have it set at 100%. And then that way they've got that flexibility to increase your prices. Hit the save button once you're done. The next bit, we need to go to templates and we can create a basic template. So let's hit add template and I'm going to call this gold package. Build type, obviously granny flats. This is going to be a quote template versus an inclusions template, which you add to a particular design in the design catalog. We then hit add. All right. Over here, you hit add item, and let's say the utilities, every job is going to have 1, 2, and 3 on it. So I'm going to add those to quote. They're there, they're all ready to go now. That is all you need to do to create a inclusions list or a standard inclusions template for your quote. We then have tax. This is how it should be set up. For the US, you can apply 10% there for your tax amount. If they're both as no, it will add separately to the list, so it won't be included in all the base prices. It'll just add it as an additional cost at the end. If you do not enter anything in here, then there will be no tax amount showing up on your quote. So just be aware of that. We then have the groupings column, and this looks like it is all set up correctly so that everything's in order. But more or less, whatever order these are in is how they will display on the final quote. All right, so just be aware of that. Whatever order you set this list is how they will display. We then have payment schedule. Now, this one here, very easy to set up, but more or less, the first option is a dollar amount. So if your deposit is always a set dollar amount, let's hypothetically say that it's always going to be 10,000. We then put in here 10,000. Oh, yeah, 10,000. And then in your notes when it's due. So it can be due upon beginning construction, after demolition, on signing of contract, whenever it might be. Okay. If, however, you prefer your deposit to be a percentage, clear that out. Set your deposit percentage, 10%, 15, 20%, whatever you want it to be. Have it set as grand total and have that be your deposit. You then need to continue working your percentages down until they hit a total of 100. If not, you'll have this notification and it won't let you save. All right. More or less, you just need to work out whether the prices are going to be a percentage of the grand total or of the balance all the way down. This will work quite fine. And then you put in your descriptions accordingly. Let's hit the save button there, and that will update. Let's just jump into branding very quickly, and we'll just take a quick look at things. So everything should be set up on your account. Just running through a few things in regards to branding. So your logo's there, ready to go. That's all added in, as well as your detail strip color. If you ever need to change these, just a matter of flicking in here, editing the color, or you can change your logo by editing that. In terms of what displays on your quote, you can click and turn off any of these as you want. So this price level are the words priced from. You probably want that turned off because you just want to show price. Or if you don't want the price showing on the quote, deselect it here. This here is then going to have your flyer name, salesperson's name, and salesperson's image down the bottom. Unless you add an image here under user profile, there will not be a salesperson's image. So if you want an image there, you can add it in. This is where you can edit your name, contact number. You will never be able to change your email, but you can edit your password here as well. Green tick to save, X to exit. If you're not adding a salesperson's image, you can just turn that off, but I'll just leave it on for now. So just be aware, that's where you can edit those, and then we hit save. All right. So now we have our proposals all set up. So I'm just going to click on templates. And basically here you should have this proposal ready to go and it should be published. Something's sitting as draft, it won't show up on the front end. So click on the three dots and edit template. And you'll see here, this is our template. So it has two external documents and you can view what they are just by expanding here with this little circle. And it'll let you know what that document is. So that there is our PDF for the first two pages. You can minimize that again and we can go to the next one. And this is our PDF for the next page. You then have your flyer, your site plan, and your quote, as well as your follow-up to PDFs. All right, you can create as many proposals as necessary, but basically this one's set up ready to go. If you ever need to add more documents or remove them, so I'm just going to hit save on that, even though we haven't changed it, make sure it is published there. Under Canibuild documents is where you'll find the flyer, site plan, and quote. So you can easily add them from here over on the left. Just a matter of simply clicking on it, it will load in and you can position it accordingly. I'll just hit the X on that one. In terms of adding these external documents, they're all under visual elements. You hit external document, hit the pencil option and upload whatever you need to and hit save. We'll hit cancel and remove that one. Make sure you hit save and then make sure it's published. Let's jump back to our property and go to our quote. And let's just play around with the discount and additional charge option quickly. So let's say here the construction cost for this particular job. I need to edit it. So all you need to do is click on that particular item and hit the pencil option. I want to add an additional charge. I want it to be a dollar value and I just want to add $10 and I'll hit apply. So what this will do is boost it from 150 to 160 per square foot. The client will not know the difference. The price has just been increased by that $10. All you then need to do is hit the save button here, and it will update that price accordingly on your whole quote. If you need to apply a discount to any item, let's say there's a special running for this month and approvals for the drafting is going to be 10% off. Again, either click on there or you can click on this little bubble, add in the discount, we'll put it as a percentage and we'll put it as 10% and we'll hit apply. You can add whatever notes you want. So I'm just going to put 10% September special. And then we hit the save button and that will add in. So there's my note. You can put whatever notes you want in here about just about anything. Feel free to add it in for that particular item as necessary. If you need to edit the description or something specific for a particular client, that's where you'd add the note. And then the discount showing there, it can be turned off in the back end under quote in branding. There's a series of checkboxes for display options. You just need to turn off discount if you do not want this showing on the quote. All right. From this point, let's generate our proposal now that everything's ready to go. So we hit generate, jump down here to the Boxabl proposal. My deposit, again, is going to be based off the back end. So remember, I've set it with payment schedule. If we don't have it on, it should have been put in 10%, but we'll hit proceed anyway. And this is going to generate my complete proposal. So we'll just give that a moment. Just remember with a proposal, because it's generating the flyer, site plan, and quote all together, it may be delayed. It might take a minute or two to generate versus your standard 30 seconds. Once your document is ready, just a matter of clicking on downloads and opening it up. And I'll just zoom out a bit just to make it easy to see. But we can scroll down. We can see those PDFs that I did mention. They're all there. There's my flyer added in. You can see I've turned off price now because I've got the quote appearing a little bit further down. I didn't think it was necessary to have it on. Again, you can have it on if you like. We then have the site plan that jumps in accordingly. And there's my quote added in. Few things to point out. So there's that discount showing up there. There's that note. And we can see that that additional $10 isn't showing up on that one. All right. And that's all good to go. Everything's set up. And just lastly, we'll just go into the branding section for quote. So we'll just go into admin here and we'll go to branding. I wouldn't edit this too much as it has been set up to keep consistency across all franchises. But depending on what you may need to change, this is where it would happen here. In terms of adding in any additional terms and conditions or inclusions or whatever you might want to put in here, it's just a matter of typing whatever you want here. So I'm just going to type in test 1 and hit add text box. Give that a moment. And you'll see here, it's going to add an additional text box over here on the left. Might need to just try that again. Just give me a sec. All right, there it is there. So you can see that has loaded up. Whatever you need to add in, you just add it in this way. So those terms and conditions, so on and so forth. And then you can move it up and down to position it wherever you want. Ideally, you'd probably want your signature block at the bottom, maybe your terms and conditions and payment schedule just above it. All right, so you can adjust those small little bits and pieces as necessary, and you're good to go. In terms of those display options, as I said, in terms of discount, it's here. So whatever you want to turn off, item discount is just there. So if you don't want the client to see that they've been given a discount, you can turn that off. All right, and at the top here, just go back to that proposal. You guys don't have the banner on, so that doesn't matter too much. All right. Basically that there is the title that displays on the quote itself on the banner, but you guys aren't using the banner, so you don't need to worry about it. All right. So I think this has all already been set up for consistency, so I wouldn't change any of this, but just be aware if you do need to edit anything, that's where it is. I'll hit the save button on all of this. Actually, we won't because we don't want to save that. And that wraps up session 3. I hope it has been helpful. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon.